Good afternoon, or evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. Decided that I'm going to do a bit of a channel reintroduction. Hopefully the shadow ban is gone. Yeah. So, those of you on the internet, you typically know me as Donald Kelly. That is not my actual name. No, I'm not giving you my actual name because I'm having fun being Donald Kelly. I am the captain of the Crewe the Fancy. We are a reenacting group out of central Pennsylvania. We have a few members elsewhere, New York especially. We represent the pirates who were part of Henry Every's crew. Some of them did come to Pennsylvania and surrounding states. They were real. Like, we represent real pirates. We try to be as historically accurate as possible, etc., etc. My day job is making stuff. So, whenever I say, hey, if you want stuff, I mean, that's what I do. When I say we, of course, I am referring to our crew. We have quite a few members and many different skill sets and disciplines. Hopefully this year we incorporate a lot more of them into our videos. We have one coming out, I'm hoping next week. I want to see how this video does before. I don't want to waste my guys' time with if what they're doing is not getting out there. Site we work with a lot is Fort Loudon. It's located in Fort Loudon, Pennsylvania. They're spelled slightly different depending on your maps. It is a fort that was built during the 7 Years' War. It is an amazing site. It's well run. They really care about their reenactors. They care about their public. They care about surrounding historical sites. If there's ever a historic site you want to go to that you'll feel welcome, that's one. It's small, but you know what? It's nice. I can't say enough good things about Fort Loudon. They have given us many opportunities that we probably wouldn't get otherwise. Yes, South Central Pennsylvania was not really a hub of piracy. I'm well aware of that, but it's one of the few sites that, oh, you're doing historically accurate pirate? I want to know more. Here, do this event, do this event. You're welcome to come to this event, come to... And sometimes I'll even be like, no, we can't make this one, and then I'll get enough messages like, fine, I'm coming out. So, if you're a historic site and you're looking to, like, revamp your programs and make yourselves a lot more attractive to reenactors, the general public, etc., I would highly recommend looking at Fort Loudon from a professional standpoint. They've done some amazing things in the last few years. Again, can't say enough. They're excellent. So what's this video going to be about? Well, this one's not so much a history video as it is a current events video. In my other life, I am a science fiction writer. In fact, Donald Kelly is the name of the main character of my novel series. Shameless plug, Foxtrot Tango Wasteland is available on Amazon. Feel free to check it out. Technology and history, they should get along, but they don't. One of the great things with modern technology is, with a lot of museums putting their stuff online, even like scanning their original documents, we're able to do from the comfort of our homes what would have taken us years to do in the past. If I want to look up some document that's held by a museum in Britain, I just have to get online and figure out what database it's under, and I can usually find it. If I'm having questions about a source, there's a good chance I can figure out, okay, what's going on with this source. Again, do a quick search. Guaranteed I'll usually find something. If I can't find it, then that means it's something that's really interesting, and I definitely have to dig more. A lot of times when I do my videos, I don't give the direct link to documents. I will tell you what database I use. The reason I do that is I want you to have that experience of looking yourself. I want you to know that these resources are out there, and you can use them to find more than just what I'm talking about. One of my favorite ones, the Archive of the West Indies, like that contains so many documents. That covers a lot of the early colonial history of the British Empire. There's some of these documents that it might be some letter between somebody, it might be insurance documents, but they contain information that's very useful to a wide range of disciplines. But we are entering this time period now where history also has a lot of enemies when it comes to technology. And I need to clarify, there is not a they that's after history. A lot of it is we're using technologies but don't fully understand how to implement them. And that brings us to, So, those of you who got to this channel from my recent shorts, don't worry, I will do more. You all seem to enjoy them for some reason. But Brimley is a bot. Brimley represents basically your standard social media bot. Now, when I use this term bot, I want you to realize what I'm referring to. Sometimes it's called the algorithm, sometimes it's an AI. It's basically what's being used in place of people to monitor the thousands upon thousands of posts that are made every minute on social media. You can't realistically have a person monitoring everything that's going on. You need to have a system in place that will, oh, that guy just posted something really bad that nobody should see. Cool, let's delete that. The problem is, even with it being an automated system, it's still not able to cover the whole of social media. And further, I've noticed that a lot of times it might flag certain profiles for extra attention. So meanwhile, somebody's over on this side of social media posting something awful, but the algorithm itself is focused on this guy who said something off color the other day. Now, almost all of us have encountered this on social media. It's not somebody reporting what you're saying. Yeah, I need to put that out there right now. It's nobody's going after you. I mean, there might be cases where they are, but usually it is the algorithm itself. You said something that triggered something in the automated system. Usually on the appeals process, I shouldn't even say usually because we all know this is not the case. In theory, in the appeals process, there is a person that, oh, they got this wrong. But even then, you think of how many appeals are then demanded every single day. Guarantee there's still, a lot of it's still automated. Now, it might be a higher level AI that might have a lot more, I hate to use this term. I'm using this term in a general way. I'm not saying this as, it's more aware. And when I say it's more aware, I don't mean it's sentient. But it has more of a it has a better algorithm that can identify context to a certain degree. The problem is I don't feel as though in a lot of cases that even then it is that good. My issue with specifically YouTube, I sometimes do have this issue with Facebook, but it's more YouTube, is that some of us are monetized or are trying to get monetized. When these systems fail, people end up losing money. Even though, like, my thing is I make stuff, I still need that ability to market. And social media in general, it's the world we live in. This is one of my avenues for marketing. Not everybody on YouTube has Facebook. Not everybody on Facebook has YouTube. I've recently had to have a Twitter account. Don't even bother subscribing. It's mostly me complaining at YouTube. Now, keep in mind, there are thousands of posts getting reported pretty much every minute. People are appealing most of those. You can't have a person doing it. Further, there's so many languages that it would make it next to impossible to have like even an office full of people on every single one. So how has this become a problem? Well, a lot of it is, a lot of these tech companies do not really associate themselves with the humanities. So, and when I say the humanities, I'm not talking, let's say Instagram. Instagram's one where, well, they have all these photo options and this. You don't have to have a humanities degree to know something looks pretty. You don't need that. You honestly don't need to have a degree to study history either. Something else we'll get into, but I only took a few outlines on this because I did not want to make this a scripted thing. This is just me talking to you. So, the problem with not having humanities people, your AI does not understand context. Context is very important when talking about history because I might read a quote from somebody and this guy says something absolutely horrible and this is why we blah blah blah. If you just took that quote out of context with me reading it, how do I look? See what I'm saying? More than likely what happened with the short of ours that got taken down and us demonetized was because I was talking about the bad people. I hate saying things in black and white, especially when it comes to history, and I did a shout out to the channel I cut it from. So I'm like, oh, this is a good channel, definitely check it out, yada yada yada. Okay, moving on to history. And at some point in time, the AI, a month later, keep this in mind, saw the first part of the video and then heard me saying positive things. You can see how this works for something that does not understand context. That's most likely what happened. But there's more to this, sadly, because this is history and this is what happens. So within historians, actually a lot of us who are in specific disciplines in general, I should say, a lot of us are on some sorts of spectrums. Whether it be political spectrums, whether it be behavioral health spectrums. I am diagnosed on one of those spectrums. We aren't always the most socially aware people. Sometimes it comes from us sitting and researching all the time, or basically our job is to study dead people. We aren't necessarily very good at talking to living people. And that can be because, again, it might be the autism spectrum. It might be just because we are so focused on work that we don't really get a chance to practice normal communication. That's a problem, because some of us don't mean to come across as, you know, I want to swear, but I try not to swear on YouTube. I think I did swear in the live stream, though. Come to think of it, yeah. I know my wife did. Oh no. Some of us come across as less savory individuals than what we may be. And that's our baseline. That said, there are those who are fully aware of what they are doing and fully aware of the social ramifications and do it intentionally. I call that Edgelord history. There are quite a few Edgelord history channels and pages out there. You can always identify them because they will start talking about such things as traditional values. Or they will really, really like to talk about Angry Mustache Man. Or they might find something where there's been a lot of social outrage about, and they will start talking about it and try to make it a history thing, but it's really not. It's a social commentary. You can talk about those things, but frame it differently. Come on, man. What's wrong with you? When I first got into the YouTube thing, that's what I thought a lot of the problems between history and social media were about. I was wrong. I admit to being wrong. But the Edgelord history, come on guys, you need to fix that. Stop trying to make a problem, because then it becomes a problem for all of us. And then the algorithm starts paying more attention to anything that's labeled as a history page. This also happens in real life, and reenactors are some of the biggest culprits when it comes to how the public perceives us. There are certain arguments and debates that we really shouldn't be getting involved in because it's really not our place. There are certain things where we, as people alive in, if you're watching this years from now, this was 2023. There are certain things that people alive in 2023, we should be aware, like, hey, maybe don't do that. Like, I know it's historically accurate, but you can talk about it, but you don't need to do it. There are certain topics that I actually will probably talk about on Patreon that I realize, like, hey, kids are on here. Even though YouTube has its rules, yeah, we know kids are on here. We don't really need to be putting some of the stuff out that some of us do. And sometimes there's a lot better ways to talk about some of the topics that, yeah, do deserve some spotlight. A lot of these pages will start getting flagged. When they get flagged manually flagged by people, that causes the algorithm to look harder at pages that fit a similar description. So, hey, I'm starting up a history page. Cool, what are you talking about? Oh, this thing that's really not anything that's not a problem. Okay, cool, but the fact I have history, yep. And the fact somebody else might have history, and yeah. Hoping gotta train the algorithm. Definitely train your algorithms. Along with the algorithm, along with the Edgelord history, we have pseudo-history. This is a big problem for me on Facebook. So Facebook likes to have, like, oh, you gotta check this out. No, I don't. I really don't want to. This is not my interest. There are people on this planet. Now, I knew about the alien thing. Cool. You know what? I like Stargate SG-1 too. I get that you guys think it's real, but it's not. But it was a good show. I liked it. When I was stationed at Fort Carson, I was literally like a hike from Cheyenne Mountain. Yeah, there were no aliens. We were good there. There probably are aliens, but I don't think they had anything to do with the pyramids. Yeah. Then there's the ancient high technology crowd. Now this is where I start to take offense. These next two are where I take offense. And the Tartarian crowd. Both of these groups assume that we cannot build the things that people did in the past. That people in general, it's impossible for us to do. And no matter how many times you try to debate with them about it, no, you just can't. You can't do it. It's like, and then you do it, and then somehow it's a trick. I've encountered people in real life who have thought that my cooking was somehow an illusion, and they have tried to touch the fire. I've talked about this before. People still don't fully believe me that they will touch the fire, thinking that it's fake. They don't realize that it would cost more for me to come up with some illusion of cooking than to just cook. People get confused anytime they see something that they don't necessarily understand, like they're not skilled at doing. And a lot of the issue is we're in a time period now where your normal upbringing, you don't have to ever pick up a tool. You might have to pick up a pair of scissors. That's about it. You can't cut down a tree with a pair of... I mean, you probably... I shouldn't think about that because that's going to get me thinking. Can you cut down a tree with a pair of safety scissors? I think you can. Take a lot of work, but I think you could. Be right... No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to... People don't get the experience of making stuff with their hands. They don't get the experience of using old tools and learning how things were done. For me, it's an everyday thing. Today I'm taking a break because my arms are tired, because I've been on a sewing marathon now for probably the last month. I need to stop. I need to take a break. When you do this stuff by hand, it gives you a new appreciation. And then you realize there's very little you can't do. These folks, however, don't believe it's even possible to begin. If you're on this channel, the chances are you already know that's nonsense. But the algorithm, though, thinks that this is history. Now, this is a YouTube problem over here. We run into fake history pages and fake science pages and channels. A lot of times what they'll do is they will either blatantly steal from other creators, or they will have AI do it. AI will make a script, AI will do the voice, AI will do the video, and boom, you have a video that talks about whatever you want it to talk about. Most of the time, it's pseudo-history. When it is real history, it's often full of errors. Quite a few of you have encountered me on other channels going, that this isn't real. Why'd you say, that's not what happened. Why are you posting? That's not what happened. The keel-hauling ones that pop up every now and then. No, why? Why? The reason I know that's AI is because the one day I got curious enough and had AI tell me. And sure enough, it produced a very similar script to what these pages and channels are using. That's not good. Folks like me, folks like Golden Gunpowder, Matt Easton, Todd, we all work for our videos. We don't just, this isn't something that we just churn out of nowhere. Even this one, that it is literally me just having a conversation. I actually had to stop and think about what I was going to say. I'm still thinking about what I'm going to say as I'm doing this, but I didn't research this one because it's mostly, like, this is my feelings on things. You'll see these videos, they'll be getting tens of thousands of views, sometimes even millions of views. Meanwhile, other channels that are actually history channels or science channels, we're lucky to get half of that. Now, is this important? Yeah, it actually is. If you want more channels like this, like Golden Gun, like all the ones I've mentioned, then you need to let the algorithm know. You need to let these social media companies know, like, hey, can you stop promoting these fake pages? Report them. As you come across them, report them. In the case of YouTube, if they are pushing false information, you can report that. Now, they might not delete it immediately, but if enough people do that, go take their time to, then they might start cracking down. Now, there's a very big difference between your feelings and facts. I've been seeing a lot of people on social media, on historical sites, like literal, like National Park Service sites. Well, I don't feel like this is real. It is the most confusing statement to have to interact with. I saw one of the historic sites actually rip somebody a new one the other day, and it was glorious. And the person, I can't believe you're allowed to say things like that. And it's like, dude, people are getting sick of it. All of us are getting sick of it. I might not see such and such historic site, but I'm gonna see Tartaria. Also, for those who don't know, Tartaria was another word for basically the steppes into Siberia. It was the land of the Tartars, or the Tatars. Basically, the Mongols, some of the Turkic people. Sometimes it's differentiated into different tribes, things like that. It's not some mystery. We know what it is. It's an antiquated word. Antiquated terms. It's not some mystery. Oh yeah, another thing with these folks, they believe that the time period that I study never happened, and that there was some flood, and we've been Art Nouveau and like all the Victorian architecture styles. We were digging them out. They're actually artifacts, like they're ruins from another time. Yeah. Oh yeah, Star Fort. I'm leaving that in there. Star forts are not real, apparently. Well, no, they are real, but they were built by ancient civilizations. I mean, even though we know how they were made, we have the documentation. In some cases, we have pictures. Like, yeah. That's given a lot more airtime than, let's say, the Met or Victoria and Albert, some of their posts. I'm seeing more of that than I'm seeing of that. It's not good. This is, like, we want our kids to know that, hey, you might not have a Dremel tool, but if you take a piece of metal and you hammer it just right, you can make your own woodworking tool. And you can do probably even better work than you could with a Dremel. Hey, you don't have money to hire a contractor. But you know, if you study all the stuff that you could possibly need to build a house, you can build a house if you need to. I mean, now with the cost of lumber the way it is, oh my god. Side to point. Zoning's also a pain. You practically need a degree just to study some of the bureaucracy. If you want to help history pages, share, comment, subscribe, dislike, like, doesn't matter. Just get the algorithm moving. Report the ones that are fake. Like, if you want us to keep making content, I know some of the pages have, well, we started a new service. Everybody's sick of the subscription services. We're all getting tired of, we got Netflix, we got Hulu, we got Disney Plus, we got Paramount, we've got, oh my gosh, I forget, I managed to find a free one to watch that awful History Channel one, but it wasn't on the regular ones. That was the annoying part. We have all these different subscription services. We're getting annoyed. This was supposed to be an easier thing. No, it's not. It's not. So I'm not going to sit here and go, you should subscribe to blah, 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 blah. Now, I might start doing some spicier content on Patreon, I'm going to try to keep it low. And I don't know how to do it that, like, it can be like, I don't know, I'll figure it out where, I'll figure out how it all works so that it's not going to be one of these things of, well, I have to do this again just to watch this. I'll figure something out. I know it makes me money. I'm not opposed to making money. I want to make money. But I don't like taking advantage of my subscribers. But yeah, like if you want to help do things like that, if you work for one of the tech companies, you need to get more humanities people involved. Your algorithm's good, but the problem is it does not understand context. It doesn't understand that the page talking about the Angry Mustache Man probably doesn't support the Angry Mustache Man. The page that does is the one that's using weird codes and various dog whistles. I can tell you what those are. Most of us who study this stuff, we are aware of what those are. There are certain words that get used for, well, I'll give you an example. Somebody the other week, when I was at the Colonial Pennsylvania plantation, they're like, they commented, they were angry, they were in my shorts, they're like, it's funny when you say in your shorts. Sorry. They commented, they're like, you're at a plantation, that means you support chattel slavery. No, that does not. That's what the site's called, and some of these sites were not actually that kind of plantation. It's just what the term was at the time. Well, if that person and the algorithm were aware of what terms were typically used by people who do have that viewpoint, that probably would never have come up in conversation. Also, YouTube, the people that do support the spicy T word, they don't call themselves the spicy T word. They usually call themselves some other things. Usually whatever organization they're a part of, or positive terms. That's not a positive term. Any channel that's talking about the spicy T word, we're probably talking about the French Revolution. We might be talking about the modern thing, or we might be using the term as a general term for that activity. So like talking about Guy Fawkes, talking about the time period with the guillotine. Yes, those are times where we would use that word. The people who support those people, they don't use that word, because to them, that's not what those people are. And that brings us to, I guess, the conclusion on this one. So, the algorithm has a lot in common, like, with the same people who follow the pseudo-history stuff. They take things at face value. They don't look into it. They don't look at the context. They don't actually look into it. They take it as, oh, this is real because it says it's real. Never mind if it is or not. Oh, look, pretty picture. It must be real. Even though it's completely AI generated and the worst Photoshop you've ever seen. So, treat the AI as you would your weird uncle who believes everything he sees on the internet. Try to feed it things that are real and report the things that are not. And then hopefully, if everybody starts doing that, maybe next time I do a video where I want to talk about, hey, this is what's happening in this part of the world right now and how it's related to the history. YouTube's not going to go, he supports... Okay, fine, I'll do it just for you guys. Lord Neil! Lord Neil! The Crewe, the fancy's doing it again! There you go. Even my daughter likes Brimley. She'll bring me the hat. The hat used to be for sale, but for obvious reasons, I can't now. If you want a hat like Brimley, I do make them. Just FYI. Usually sell them about 50 bucks a pop, sometimes less, depending on what materials are available, so. Yeah. And also, I kind of bent the side of his hat down just for comedic value. this is actually how they should look. So, yeah. Oh, and Lord Neil was actually referring to the current CEO of YouTube. That's who Lord Neil is. So some of you I've noticed, I don't think you realize who Lord Neil is referring to. That's who it is. I hope I didn't ruin anything for you guys. But yes, I will bring them back. I will do more videos with them. I did not realize people enjoyed them. Take care. Have an awesome day.